I just want to say hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to REI Day with Junior Rangers, E-Prep for Kids. My name is Miss Nina, and I'm from REI, which stands for Recreational Equipment, Inc. That just means that our stores have all the gear that you want to stay safe and have fun while enjoying your favorite outdoor activities. What are some of your favorite outdoor activities? All of you at home, think about what your favorite outdoor activities are and feel free to answer in the Q&A right here on Zoom, the Q&A, or if you're joining us on Facebook, then tell us in the chat. If you have any questions for our teachers during the class, please put them in the Q&A or in the comment section on Facebook, and we'll do our best to get those answered for you. I'll be here checking them and making sure that State Park Steve or REI David can get to some really relevant questions for you today. All right. Well, it looks like you all are enjoying a lot of fun activities outside, which is great. Some of my favorite outdoor activities are hiking with my dog, going to the beach, and jumping on my trampoline just right over there. I love working at REI because we think that being outside is one of the best things you can do to have fun, don't you think? And so do our friends at California State Parks. So we decided that REI and state parks should join up to help educate and inspire kids like you and your families to do just that. Today, we have two wonderful teachers to help us learn how to be prepared for an emergency, whether we're outside or inside. I'm so happy to introduce you all to State Park Steve, joining us from Hendywood State Parks. Hi, State
Hey,
Park
hello,
Steve.
everybody. Oh,
And
so glad to see everybody join in for our special Junior Ranger program, and very happy to be collaborating once again with REI, one of my absolute favorite places to go. I could spend a lot of time there, I tell you.
yay, thanks, State Park Steve. And our other instructor, REI David, joining us from the trail in Sonoma. Hi, REI
Hey,
David.
everybody. I'm in sunny Santa Rosa in Sonoma County. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, so now that we've met our great teachers today, is everybody ready to put our thinking caps on? I've got my my little headset. That'll be my thinking cap for today. All right, y'all got yours. And learn about how we can do our part to be prepared in case of an emergency. Are you ready? Well, let's start over in the park. Well, we'll learn the science behind earthquakes with State Park Steve. Take it away, State Park Steve.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Again, super glad to be coming to you guys live from Hendywood State Park. Oh, a beautiful place where we get to explore the Coast Redwood Forest. And well, today we're going to be learning all about how to be prepared in case of emergency. And well, we're going to be learning a little bit about some of the natural disasters that may happen in California. One in particular that I really, I have experience with is, well, earthquakes. I wonder if I raise a hand, has anybody ever experienced an earthquake in their lifetime? Oh, I see a lot of you have experienced an earthquake in your time. So, it's good to know really what is the cause of these earthquakes. Go ahead and lower those hands again. Excellent. So it's good to know what is really going on with earthquakes. I've been in an earthquake before in my life, and it was a very scary time. But to know that these are all natural processes that the earth goes through, and it all has to do with the layers of the earth and one thing that we call plate tectonics. So we're gonna take a look really quick at a couple different things to dive into, well, what causes some of our earthquakes. So take a look at this. We are here on the planet Earth, as you all know. And the Earth is quite big. Well, bigger than you might even realize. It's a sphere, and we have built up of many layers. You have on the inside solid core. The inner core solid is very, very hot and solid, and so is our outer core. Now, in between the core and our crust is that mantle built up of liquid rock, magma, lava, and on the outside you have, because of the cooler outer layer starts to cool down, it creates this thick layer of, or the thinnest layer called the crust. And well, we are there on that crust. You have crust that is under our ocean, and you have crust that builds up our continent. And let me tell you, our planet, throughout our throughout the billions of years that we have been a planet, have actually gone through many changes because of plate tectonics. Now let's go over. So check this out. This is a map that actually takes a look at all the different plates. We have the North American plate, the Pacific plate, and well, the state of California sits on the edge of two plates. Take a look. We're right over there in the Western United States, but there is a line going straight through California. Now, because these plates are moving quite a lot, the borders of those plates have a lot of different types of interactions. Now let's take a closer look at California. When it comes to the probability of feeling earthquakes, you have a pretty good chance of feeling an earthquake, up to 59% if you're nearby the San Andreas Fault, which we have right down the middle of the state, right there. Now, these amazing plates have lots of movement, lots of different ways that they interact, and well, each one has a different cause. Or when we take a look here, you have three major types of plate boundaries. A divergent plate boundary, where plates are pulling apart, and this happens in some of our ocean, in our oceans, and you get these vents that vent off that hot lava and cools instantly because of our ocean. You also get a lot of volcanic activity in those divergent plates. Now, when you get plates moving opposite directions, you get a transform plate boundary. And when plates come together, at the bottom, you see that one plate may move over the top and one goes down under. Now that's called a convergent plate boundary. So all these plates, and specifically here in the nearby the Pacific Ocean, we have the lithosphere and the oceanic crust that submerge underneath our continental crust. And this is why we get those coastal mountains in California. The Coast Mountain Range is caused by all this, as well as we get a number of earthquakes near our ocean and along that San Andreas Fault, and it can be very, very scary. Real quick, we want to take a moment to do an activity that you can do at home to kind of explore these different plate boundaries. All right, so what we're going to need, and you want to probably do this when I prepare you guys for your activity, you're going to need some graham crackers. In state parks, graham crackers are very useful, a good snack, very necessary for s'mores. Well, we're going to build a kind of a different type of s'more today. It's a plate boundary s'more. We're going to use graham crackers, break it right down the middle. We're also going to need, and I guess roasted marshmallow would work for this, but in this case, since I'm out nowhere near a fire to roast my marshmallow here at Hendy Woods, I'm going to use whipped cream. Whipped cream, oh, delicious whipped cream. Now, on the bottom here, that solid layer is going to represent our core. The whipped cream itself is going to be our mantle, that hot magma. All right, now with our other graham cracker, and I need a free hand to get this real quick. It gets a little messy. All right, so we're going to break the other one in half like that. And these are going to represent our plates, our different continental plates, our plate tectonics. So we're going to set that right there, one plate, and the other plate, we're going to set it right beside the other one. Now, show us that a convergent plate are two plates moving together. One plate actually slides under the other, and this is kind of messy, so you're going to want a towel nearby. And look, we get one plate sliding under, and we get kind of mountain forming. Weird. Okay, sorry. Now, in the case that plates are moving the opposite direction, you get a little bit of friction between the plates. And when that happens, you might notice that one plate really slips as they rub together. That's when we get lots of earthquakes. Now, in the case of plates moving apart out the middle, this is like a divergent plate or plate boundary, and then, oh, there we go. Oh man, it's getting to be a mess here. Now, we get lots of lava venting out the top, and that happens a lot under our Pacific plate and creates lots of volcanic activity. Now, here we go. I'm gonna pass it on while I eat this and clean myself up after eating this. I'm gonna pass it on to David because we wanna know what should we do in case of an earthquake. So really quick, I'm passing it on to David.
Well,
David,
I
you
gotta
there?
say, State Park Steve, I gotta say,
Oh.
like, thank you so much from myself and everybody at home, for teaching us what an earthquake is. It's really cool to know the science behind that. And, I'm also a little bit jealous of your graham cracker whipped cream situation right now, but
Delicious. It's so good.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
We love to learn and have fun at the same time. That's always a good idea. So, how many of you at home, know what to do in case of an earthquake? Have you been through an earthquake drill before? Raise your hand if you know. Wonderful. Well, for those of us who might need a little refresher or maybe don't know what to do, REI David has a really fun activity to teach us what to do in case the earth starts shaking and quaking. So let's send it over to him and we can all join in.
Yay. Wow, that was really cool, State Park Steve. Thanks for sharing all of that. I saw a lot of questions pop up in the Q&A, and many of them were kind of asking the same thing. What State Park Steve was describing, when those two huge plates of the earth collide and they rub together, or they push over one another, or push up against each other, or slide along each other, because they're so big, that causes shaking and rubbing. And that shaking and rubbing is so giant that we feel it as an earthquake. Somebody asked if it happens underwater, would that cause a tsunami? It could. That kind of shaking, it makes a lot of things kind of go a little bit crazy. And if it happens at a particular rate, it could cause giant waves to happen. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Now, what do we do if we start to feel one? I'm not sure if any of you have ever experienced it. It can be a little kind of scary and weird when the whole land around you starts to move. But think about if you're at a fun house, at a carnival, or at an amusement park, and you're on those cool things that start moving, the floor moves, the panels slide, or they're shaking. The worst thing that you could do is run through that, because everything's moving. So to be safe, the first thing we want to do is stop. Everybody stop. Why don't we all stand up? We could do it together. Just in case you haven't done it in a while, there are some things that are slightly different. Parents, you can do this too if you're with us, because there are some new things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stop. Everybody stop what you're doing. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop. So if you're near something that can protect you, like a table, get underneath the table. Get underneath the chair, get underneath your desk if you're at school. But we're gonna drop. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll hold on. So grab a leg of that table, grab a leg of that chair, hold on to something secure. Now, if you're in the open and you can't get under something quickly, you'll stop, you'll drop, and you'll hold on to yourself. Take your hands like this, and put them over your head and neck like this to protect your head and neck. All righty? That's all there is to it. Stop, drop, hold on. All right? If you have any questions about any of this stuff, put them right there and press that Q&A button and type them in there and we'll answer them for you. Now, after the shaking stops, the first thing you should do is make sure you're okay. Did anything fall on you? Does anything hurt? Do you feel okay? Maybe some pieces of something fell nearby you. If you feel okay, ask, is everybody else okay? How's everybody doing? See how the people around you are doing. So if you're all okay, look around. Is the area safe? Did a window maybe break and there's glass on the floor? We don't want to go step in that, so we'll avoid that. Do you see anything that's dangerous? Do you smell anything? If you have a gas cooker in your house, that gas is scented to smell really yucky. So if there's a gas leak, you'll smell it. Do you hear anything strange like whistling or water pipes maybe broken? You can hear water somewhere just pouring out in your bathroom. So look around, listen, smell. If you think it's safer outside than inside, because maybe there's some damage in your house or your school, make sure you look outside before you go outside. The shaking might have caused trees to fall or power poles to fall. There might be dangerous things on the ground. The actual sidewalks could have cracked, or the streets. There might be things going on that are dangerous outside. There might even be a fire starting outside because one of the gas lines outside broke and there's a fire in the street. And we really want to be careful around fire as well as earthquakes. Those are our two big things that we're going to try and help you prepare for today, fire and earthquakes. So I'm going to turn it back over to Steve, and he's going to tell us all about the ecology of fire and how fire works.
Absolutely. So, yeah, thank you so much, David, for that great explanation on what to do in case of an earthquake. I mean, that was really important to know, right? Stop, drop, and hold on. Now, I might just stop, drop, and hold on to my head because let me tell you, I'm not around anything that I can get under or anything that I should get under here in the Hendywood State Park, right? In fact, it might be a good idea to get out of here because many times trees may fall. Well, let me tell you, when we know that right now in California, wildfires are one of the major worries for us. It is the midst of wildfire season, and because, especially this year and last year, because of our major drought, well, the danger of wildfire has never been greater. Now, when we think about wildfires, well, what really causes a fire? You have to think about, well, what are the elements of a fire? Something that we call the fire triangle. Now, fire needs three different things to happen. First off, you're gonna need fuel. Now, when we're talking about a forest, fuel can come in the types of shrubs and branches, in logs, even sometimes trees. These are what we call fuel. It can, in our households, it can be things like natural gas, propane, or methane. You know, anything that has the potential to burn is fuel. Now, on the other side, you have to have extreme heat. Now, many of our fuels that we use in our home, all they need is a spark for them to ignite. And that's just enough heat to get them going. The final thing, so fuel, heat, and on the final thing is going to be oxygen, air. Now, with all these things, a chemical reaction occurs where the fuel starts to break apart. And when this fuel breaks apart because of this fire, well, it breaks up into carbon dioxide and water. You know, this is the combustion that occurs. But that breaking apart of that fuel creates such intense heat that it will actually, it's an exothermic reaction, meaning it releases heat. Now, fire can be very useful. You know, we use it to cook food. We use it to keep ourselves warm. Often you can have a campfire when we're out camping. or, safely around a fire ring. And well, fire can also have very many uses in our forests. Fire ecology, because, well, all the different things that build up a forest, all the different natural phenomena, plant life, animal life, fungus, the amount of water, the weather, the climate, and yes, even the frequency of fire, all have factors to play in the health of a forest. And here at Hendy Woods, well, fires and the redwood forest, fires are kind of a regular thing. So here in this forest, we haven't had a fire in quite a long time, which is because we live nearby our forests, our parks. These are beautiful areas, and people really love to have their homes nearby. So we have actually stopped fires from moving through forests, and it's a good thing to keep us all safe. When we think about a forest, though, all the fuels that are on the ground have locked away nutrients that can be very useful for the health of trees around. And so a fire comes through, burning all those underground, understory fuels, and it will release those nutrients into the floor for the trees to use. Now, even this, many times trees like the giant sequoia trees have cones that will not open to release their seeds without fire. These are how trees and plants adapt to having grown up or having existed with fire as part of their ecology. Fire will open up their seeds and give those seeds a chance to find bare mineral soil with having all the fuel under them released. Now, not only that, but the fires will also, to a certain extent, help cure many diseases. Here in Hendy Woods State Park, we have a tree disease called sudden oak death that can be carried from one place to another through spores that help this fungus or this water mold spread from one place to another. Having a fire come through will kill off all the trees that have carried that sudden oak death and help promote the health of the forest. Now, redwoods themselves, these coast redwoods, these tall, tall trees, the world's tallest living organism, we gotta look up. Growing up to 350 feet and even taller, these trees, well, they have lots of adaptations to survive wildfires. You might see, well, there's lots of big bark on this tree. There's no low-hanging branches because these trees also self-prune. Their lower branches often fall off to the ground below, which makes it hard for a fire to climb up. And, well, as long as the tree's bark is intact, that thick layer of bark protects the tree and keeps that water, nutrients, and sap moving throughout the body of the tree, and the tree will survive. Now, not only that, I know quite a lot in dealing with wildfires in the redwood forest as far as ecology goes. Well, after a forest has gone through a fire, you might see new generations and new sprouts popping up after the fire. Now, this photo is a picture that was taken last year following the Big Basin fires. And it was a very, very scary fire that went through there, a very high intensity fire. And after the fire was contained, well, we saw even a month after the fire was extinguished or contained, we see lots of fresh new sprouting at the base of the redwoods. These trees actually can clone themselves as an adaptation to help the parent tree survive. So fires in a forest can be very beneficial, but as we are, now we have settled in areas that are often on the edge of our forest, which we call the wildland urban interface, that place in between. Now, because we settle on those areas, it's good to know when to evacuate. And I suggest that if you live nearby a wildland, which we all do, we should sign up for alert systems. Nix alerts will help you. You can type in your zip code, and then they will text you your phone, text your parents for when you should worry about evacuating. But because we live so nearby these urban or these wildland areas, it's good to know how to prepare your house and how to, well, what to do in the event of a wildfire in your area, or a wildfire or a fire in your house. So I'm going to pass it on to REI David, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about, well, what to do in case of a wildfire and how to prepare for it.
Do you mind if I jump in really quick? Because
Oh,
we're getting
please do.
Okay, we're getting some great questions for you, State Park Steve. You really piqued our imaginations, and folks want to know a little bit more about fire ecology. Since we have kind of an expert around, figured we'd ask you. So somebody wanted to know if a fire would start if the sun heated up a tree. Is that a way that a fire might start?
No, fires typically needs a little bit more energy than the radiant energy of the sun. And we do get a really dry period, which, the trees actually really benefit from the sun. It helps them photosynthesize, helps them make their own food using carbon dioxide and water. Strangely enough, that's what's released in a fire, carbon dioxide and water. But all these cycles exist around us, but the sun is not likely to actually start a fire by hitting the surface of a tree. When we typically see wildfires starting in the natural setting, as in not caused by irresponsible campfire practices or a fire spreading from a bigger event. Well, we typically get natural cause of fire would be lightning strikes, which was the cause of many of our wildfires that occurred last year, lightning strikes.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that. It's good to know that the sun can't just spark a fire in the forest, and we definitely appreciate the sun helping the trees photosynthesize. So speaking of electricity, somebody wanted to know if fire can create electricity. It seems like electricity can create fire. So I guess that would make sense as a question. Can fire create electricity?
So that is an incredible question, and the answer is yes, actually. When we get just as heat is released in our fires, this often will cause weather patterns to change. We know that heat and weather and heat causes wind, and as heat can create these giant stacked up clouds, and as those clouds pull apart, they create a negative charge in between them, and this can cause lightning strikes within a fire. Now, they can cause their own weather patterns, which can occur with lightning, with more and more lightning.
That's amazing. Thanks for asking that question. Our anonymous viewer. It's a great question. I learned something new. Thank you, State Park Steve. And we do have more questions. We'll try to get to those after we talk a little bit more with REI David. So I'm going to pass it along to REI David to tell us, how can we be prepared for a fire? Like State Park Steve said, sometimes we live very close to nature, and we need to be prepared where we live as well. So REI David is going to tell us what to do.
Yay, thank you. Thank you, State Park Steve. There were a couple of questions too about drills and how do we in particular situations respond to things. I'll talk about that in just one moment, so hang tight and keep sending those questions in. Also, we would love it if you would keep your conversational comments to a minimum because we're trying to answer the actual questions. So hi, everybody. We know you're out there. We do thank you for tuning in, but save the space in the Q&A for the folks who have actual questions. Pretty please. Thank you. So one of the things that State Park Steve was talking about, and one of the questions that we had was that fire, one of the things in the fire triangle is fuel. And somebody asked, well, what burns better, live things or dead things? And dead things really do burn a lot better because there's less moisture in them. It's one of the reasons why the fire department wants us to clear, they call it defensible space around our house. So they don't want us to have dead plants or big dead branches just kind of hanging around that if there was a, I'm sorry, there's a plane flying right overhead. If there's stuff laying around that can burn, if that stuff catches fire and it's right next to our house, then it might also catch our house on fire. So sometimes we don't feel like raking leaves or picking up stuff around the outside of our house because it's a kind of a tedious chore that maybe our parents do want us to do, but that actually is not just a thing that we do. It's something that could protect your house. Another thing that you could do is make sure that you check your smoke alarm. Have your folks show you how to do it. Maybe you could do it together. Check it every once in a while. Make sure the batteries are still good. And absolutely don't play with matches or lighters. If you see somebody else playing around with matches or lighters, those are things that should be done with adult supervision at this point. So until you learn more about fire and you have more experience knowing how to use it safely, don't play with matches or lighters. Have somebody, if you see them, have a parent help them out, okay? You should also know, probably you already do, but how and when to call 911. The how part's easy, it's just 3 numbers. But when would be when there's an actual really dire emergency, and your folks can help you out with what constitutes an emergency and what doesn't. I'm gonna wait for this jet. Another thing that's really important, just like you have fire drills at school, is to have an evacuation plan for your house. So State Park Steve has a drawing of a really straightforward little building with some rooms in it. And what I would love for you to do is take your finger, unless you're on a touch screen, it's gonna mess up everything. Take your finger and trace with me your exit route from this house. State Park Steve, can you throw that drawing up there? There it is. So let's pretend for a second that we're in that room on the right-hand side, all the way at the end over the thing with the, there's the X, lovely. Now we want to have at least 2 ways to get out of the house. The easiest way is just to go down that hallway. So trace with me on the screen, put your finger right there. We're going to go down this hallway, whee, and out that door. Super easy. And then we're going to meet at our meeting place. The meeting place is part of your evacuation plan, just like at school when you have a fire drill, you go out to the field and you huddle in one group, just like that, but for your family. Our second exit route might be from the X in that room, right out that window right there. See that window up at the top? So we could just go out there safely around the building so we're not near the fire and to our meeting place. Perfect. Perfect. Now, if there is fire in the house, if you smell smoke, you always want to just very quickly touch the door to see if the door is hot, if the doorknob is hot before going out that way. If it feels hot, don't go out the door, go out your second way of getting out, okay? If you have to go, stay really low to the ground because smoke and heat like to go up and you can crawl out. All righty? Okay. And you should practice your evacuation plan just like you practice the one at school, because the more that we practice something, the better we get at it. It's why we have practices when we play sports. We have to practice things so that we get better at it when we're in the actual situation. All right? Now, we all have things that are very important to us, things that maybe have sentimental value, a photo of us and our family on vacation, or picture of us and our friends, or our favorite handheld gaming device, what have you. but you are the most important thing in your house. So it's really important that you get you to safety. That other stuff, it's just stuff. Most of it could be replaced. Memories you will always have, but get yourself out of the house, okay? You might have heard the term go bag or an evacuation bag or a 72-hour bag. And that just refers to a bag that you have with really important stuff in it that you can just grab if you need to get out of there quickly. Just grab your bag and go. If you've heard about that sort of bag, throw in the chat if you're on Facebook or in our Q&A, throw in what you think you might want to pack in there. I have a little example here, so I'll show you some of the things that are in this bag that you might want to think having in your own if you don't have one already. But go ahead and throw your comments in there. In the meantime, here's what I have. So in here, I have a toothbrush and some toothpaste. I have some really good snacks, some quality snacks that will feed me, not just candy bars and stuff, but actual meal bars and things that would be good to keep you, give you good sustained energy. I have a full change of clothes in this crazy little bag that I usually, you can get these for travel and stuff. This has a whole set of clothes in it. I also have bottle of water, go with my snacks. And this little bag on the outside, I have a first aid kit. I have other important stuff like spare batteries. I have some contacts because I wear glasses just in case my glasses get broken. I have flashlight. I have some backup power for my phone. So if you have a phone, you may want to take some backup power for it. I have some earbuds in case I want to listen to stuff without driving the rest of my family crazy. And let's see, what else do we have in here? I've also got a light rain jacket for warmth and also protection from the rain. I have a pair of flip-flops, so I have backup shoes besides the ones on my feet. I have my wallet, and for you, if you don't carry a wallet, you'll want to have some kind of ID with information on who to contact in case of an emergency. You might want to have a little bit of money with you. And then what's really, really, really important is that you bring something that makes you happy. I have a game called Pass the Pigs that I bring with me because this game is really small and it's really silly and really fun and it makes me happy. And I also have Lucy. If you've seen any of our other programs, you've probably already met Lucy. Lucy is my favorite happy bear, and she's small. She also fits in my bag. So all of this stuff fits in here. It's something that you can take with you very quickly, that you can grab on your way out of the door. Talk with your folks. If you don't have one of these, you can use, this is just an old book bag that I wasn't using anymore. I can fill this up really easily. It's right by the door. I can grab it if I need to go really quickly. That's all I got on go bags. I'm going to turn back over to REI Nina. I'm sure there are questions that we can answer here because I see a really big number on the Q&A. So what do we got?
Yes, thank you so much, REI David. It was really helpful to draw out that plan on the map on screen and just to learn a little bit more about what we can put in our go bags. We definitely have a curious crowd here, a bunch of very smart people joining us. So we do have some questions for both you and State Park Steve, and it looks like we have time. So one question that was really great, and this is about earthquakes actually for State Park Steve. We saw you on the camera doing the drill, and somebody wanted to know if maybe you should hide under that tree that was behind you during an earthquake. Would that be a good idea?
I'm actually going to say probably not a great idea, because with the ground shaking as much as it is, you know, we might expect that some of those other trees around will be falling. And if a tree were to fall on the tree that I was decided, or on the log that I was decided to get under, I could be trapped under that tree. So it's good to stay aware of what's going on around you. But again, I'm going to be mostly worried about protecting my neck and my head, and just waiting till the shaking stops. Take a look around. If you know, anything's moving around, if I see any trees coming down, I'm not going to want to go that way. But it's very important to stay where you are while the ground is shaking, and shaking will end shortly. You know, they don't. It doesn't happen. It doesn't occur for a very long time. But yeah, as the ground's shifting, you want to stay put. And once you feel it's safe to move out, I would get out of the tree line. You know, get as far away from the trees as you can at that point, because often there might be aftershocks and earthquakes to follow a major earthquake.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because, you know, some of us might think like, oh, there's a place to go under. So thank you for letting us know. Maybe not the best idea. So when you're in the forest like that. So this is a question that can go for any kind of emergency situation. And I'll send it to REI David. Somebody wanted to know, you know, what if there's an emergency and somebody gets injured, you know, during that time? What should we do at home?
Yeah, I saw that. There were several really good questions surrounding injuries and first aid, and I really appreciate that. I am a wilderness first responder, so I really like hearing that you guys are thinking about that kind of stuff. First aid is something that just having a kit isn't really enough. It's better than nothing, but it's best if you can get some training, either with community organization, the American Red Cross, something like that. If you know how to use this stuff, then you'll be in an even better spot. And when it comes to big injuries, like someone I saw said, well, what if I had a broken leg, or what if I was at a hospital or something like that? Those bigger injuries are going to require more advanced care, and you're going to need somebody who knows how to deal with those kinds of injuries to really help you out. Some injuries, as you know, if they're really, really bad, it's better to not move you at all if we can avoid that. So those things are all going to be kind of situational, and there's a lot we could talk about first aid. We could do a whole class just on that. But for those big injuries, trust to the people around you who have the training to best help you out of those situations. That's what I would say. It's the short answer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, REI David. And I see we all have our first aid kits here,
Yay.
ready to go in our go bags. All right. So speaking of wildfires, somebody wants to know, and I'll pass this one to State Park Steve. I'm going to ask two questions in one. Someone wanted to know, first of all, is the annual fire hazard June 1st? So is that when we need to be careful about fires, June 1st? Is that and then the other one is, if you make a campfire, will that light the trees on fire? If it's a campfire, is that safe?
Oh, well, that's all good questions. So, you know, when the fire danger occurs, you know, it's not always say June 1st. You know, at the beginning of or you know, June 1st this year was definitely, we had already realized that the danger for wildfire was really, really great because of our drought. I know here in Hendy Woods State Park, we typically get about 60 inches of rain every year. Well, this year we've only had about a third of that, only 20 inches. So we are on, you know, we are on the lookout for wildfires, and we have had many small wildfires in Mendocino County already. But no, there isn't a set date. I would say if you look around you, you might notice signs along the highway that say whether or not burn permits are allowed. A lot of time you might drive by and it says CDF, you know, has a ban on fire permits. And that's typically when you are looking at whether or not there's a fire danger around. It really is no rhyme or reason about it. It's just about how dry of a year it is. It has to do with drought. Now, in regards to a campfire, though, a campfire, you want to make sure that you have your campfire in a proper campfire ring. In California state parks, they do not allow you to build your own ring. We allow for campfire rings, and parks can be very different, whether it's the state park, national park, or regional park. It is very important that you know where fire pits are, where fires are allowed, and even if there is fire pits at that time of year, many campsites will actually ban fires for the year. At which time, sorry, you're gonna have to bring a jacket if you're going to want to stay warm. But it's all about the amount of fire risk that's around, and so it's a good idea when you're, especially at this time of year, when we're in a drought year, if you're going camping, call ahead of time and find out if if campfires are allowed. And as a responsible camper, you are not to leave a fire unattended. You want to make sure that when you have a campfire at your camp, somebody stays around it to keep watch on it. Often embers do spark out of campfires, may catch leaves on the ground on fire, or even blow further. We want to keep our fires under control, and having a person there to monitor it is absolutely necessary. And at the end of the night, when everybody's going to bed, I want you to make sure you extinguish that fire as best as you can. Normally, you want to pour some water over the top, the reason why we use water a lot of the time when fighting fires is it removes not only the heat from the fire triangle of heat, air, and fuel, it breaks that fire triangle by reducing the heat and smothering the air from the fire. So all you have left is that fuel. Now, just pouring water on it is sometimes not enough. You want to you should bring a shovel or a stick to break up the fuel as the fire is, as you're extinguishing the fire. Break the fuel up to the edge. Just little coals will be left around. A smoldering fire is not extinguished. So make sure that it stops smoldering, and then it's time to go to bed.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm gonna pass back.
So campfires are not off the table. We just have to make sure that we're safe and responsible and follow the park rules when it comes to them, and always make sure someone keeps an eye on it. Thanks for clarifying, State Park Steve. And you did say that there are other things we can do to help put out a fire. That's not necessarily just water. And that was another question we had, was how do fires get put out, wildfires get put out when there is no water? I'm not sure if there's been a case where we don't have water to put it out, but it's a good question.
Right. Well, in any case that there is a wildfire, I will tell you that you are to call 911 and think about evacuating. Mm-hmm. It is important that you do that. Now, when a wildfire, part of the ways that wildland firefighters actually fight fires and stop fires is, they put a break in between the fuel so that there's a space where there is no fuel. And that is by carving a line in the dirt, either with hand tools, pulling, the brush and the dead brush and leaves and sticks away so that a fire does not jump over that line. Sometimes they'll even use bulldozers to do this. And it's very well coordinated, very well organized way that they do this. As well, and if the fire is big enough, then they call in for air support, and that's where you get the planes flying overhead and dumping flame retardant on it, that red stuff. Sometimes even drawing from our lakes and oceans. So it's very important that we know if a fire is happening, it's not our job to put it out. If it is small and you feel that you can handle it, try and put it out. But let me tell you, if it's in the wildland, it's time to call 911.
That's great
other
advice.
Ways, yeah, but other ways that we can extinguish a fire, say a campfire, we can also smother it by putting dirt over the top of it. Though I'm not going to suggest this on the beach. If you're at the beach and have a fire ring at the beach, do not cover up that fire, the embers on the beach with sand, because people love to play in our sand and our beaches. And often you might be running to try and catch a Frisbee and wow, plant your foot right in campfire that was going on last night. I tell that story because it actually happened to me. I had second-degree burns on my foot from a fire that happened the night before, and somebody who had buried the fire. So okay, I'll pass it on to you again.
What would be, I mean, yeah, of course. And so just remember, on the beach, don't bury your fire, but if you're putting out your campfire, you can definitely put some dirt on there. So we definitely don't want anyone getting their foot burned from the fun you had on the beach the night before. So thank you for that advice.
And I would just add that all of the things that Steve said were great. Pour water on it, stir it in really good, but a great test for whether or not you've done enough. If you can hold your hand over it and still feel heat, it's not out. It may look like it's out, but if you can feel heat, keep pouring more water, keep stirring till you can't feel heat coming off of it.
All right. Well, I mean, it looks like we're about close to time, and we've learned a lot today. So I really appreciate our teachers. Let's give a big round of applause to State Park Steve and REI David. Thank you so much for helping us today learn how to be ready in case an emergency happens.
And REI Nina, thank you for being our host with the most.
Yes, of course. And I can't wait to go pack my go bag with all the tips and tricks that REI David taught us. And I can't wait to share all the science that we learned about earthquakes and fires with my friends and family. So who else is going to pack their favorite stuffed animal or their book in their go bag?
Absolutely. And thank you, REI Nina, REI David, for joining us on this very special virtual Junior Ranger program. We were so excited. I know that a bunch of people are going to get their virtual Junior Ranger badge and their stamp for participating today. Oh, so exciting. And you know what? Stay tuned from Fort's distance learning program for more Junior Ranger programs and more collaborations I'm sure to come with REI, and we will all talk to you very soon. Thank you so much.
Yes, make sure to join the next Junior Rangers program on August 4th, 2021 at 10:30 a.m. right here, okay, for some great programming. Have fun, stay safe, and see you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful day. All right.
All right.